This remote works with Home Assistant, but I'm not sure how. Alright, so before we begin on this video, I'm just gonna give you a little taste of what we're gonna end up with so that you have an idea of where this journey is going, because it's gonna take a few turns. But I have the BestJoy Super Remote here, and for example, I can click this button. It turns the light on or off. It says light right there. You can see it. It says light. And I can turn it back on. And I can also turn it off and on my heater, which is down there. There's the heater. So there you go. There it goes. You can hear it. There's the heater. Meow. And I can turn it off again, obviously. And then there's a few other buttons on this. So I just want to show you in here, because in here is the office outer area, and there's a TV here, and if I scroll on this here, see it goes to Samsung, you can see it says Samsung there, and I can actually turn on the TV for this. So if I do this, there you go, it takes a little while, and the TV's on. So yeah, thank you, I'll turn it off again. Bloop. So it works for that infrared as well. And just to top it all off, over here, let's show you here, is an air conditioner. And you know what? If I scroll the little wheel, to there, it says, oh no, to there it says Fujitsu. I can also turn this on. Yeah, I know. And of course I can turn it off again. So I just wanted to let you know that before we get into all the nitty-gritty, this does a ton of things, and you're gonna come on a journey of me trying to make sense of it, because it wasn't that obvious. Yes, this is the BestJoy Super Remote. That is its actual name, and I think it's delightful. One of the good things about running a YouTube channel is that there are many companies that want to send you stuff, and most of the time, to be honest, I just say no. But this time, someone said, hey, you know what? Well, someone, this company, BestJoy, said, this remote control will work with Home Assistant. And I was immediately intrigued. I'm like, why would I need a remote control for Home Assistant, and how? So if you like looking at weird and wonderful IoT devices like this one for your home automation setup, then please consider subscribing to the channel, and welcome if you're new. Yeah. So this is the BestJoy Super Remote, and right out of the box, which it already is, but on the box it says one room, one remote. Now I have many rooms, so hopefully I still only need one remote, but we'll see. But it uses RF, or it can use RF, 453 and 315 megahertz frequencies, so that's the radio frequencies. So that's something like my fans, I think, are RF controlled. It has infrared, like your remote control for your TV. It can use 2.4 gigahertz, sort of like your keyboard and mouse type setup with a USB dongle, and it can use Bluetooth. And on top of that, there's the other side of it here, is that it has this multifunctional trackball, and the lady I spoke to was very keen on me knowing about that, so we'll see what that is. And then it has customizable and programmable keys, but there's not many of them. I mean, there's a display in the middle, and we'll turn it on and we'll see what happens. And it does macros. Right out of the gate, without knowing anything about it, it looks like it could be quite the interesting device. But I don't quite understand how this is going to work, I must admit. So I have the remote control for which I can use, it's a bit like the old Logitech Harmony control, if you ever had those kind of remote controls, universal remote controls that you can program. So apparently it's a bit like that. But then I was also sent this M bridge, which is a TUIA bridge. So this, I'm assuming, is where it goes into Home Assistant. And it also says it on the box here, operate on the MQTT broker operating platform, for example, Home Assistant. So already there's a clue that it probably uses MQTT. So I'll have to figure that one out too. So you're with me on a bit of a journey of discovery as I set this up and try and do something in Home Assistant. But let's find out what this remote does, because I want to go through this little thing called the Quick Start Guide, and we'll see what that brings. All right, let's try this quick start guide here. So I'm gonna need my phone, I can see that, because even though this is step 1, we have a preparation. So like, I guess it's 0 based. So we're gonna start with 0. So let's scan the code. That probably just takes us to the Google Play Store. No, that takes us to the bestjoy.net website. Ah, okay, so this is, of course it doesn't take, there's only one QR code. So here we're gonna go to Google Play. So let's get that. No, that's not actually a link. Yeah, I can't scan the QR code that's on the screen with the phone I have. BestJoy, there we go. 100 plus downloads. Let's open that, and we got access photos, videos, music, and audio. Yeah, okay. Sign up in private, sign up on email. I'm not sure what that means. Okay, I gotta get a verification code. Okay. It's literally just showing me my login credentials on the screen. Okay, so the email verification code never actually arrived, so now I've logged in private, whatever that means. So let's go step 1, edit my home. I don't actually know what that means. App home, my room. Is it iHome? Service? What does that do? This is interesting, I think. This is not what I would expect to find to set up. And this is, remember, this is the quick start guide. David is at your service. Device. So I'm not sure what edit my home means. Click room to edit. I'm wondering if I can press on that and set. I can't actually edit anything though. I'm just going to skip that. Okay, so we're going to turn on, well, this is what I actually wanted. So let's turn on the Super Remote. So press the button up here to turn it on. Maybe you can just see it, but it says up here Super Remote SR001, and there's some version number or something down here. So it's got a curtain, specific button for curtain and for light. Okay. Atmosphere lamp. Oh, there's a blue light there. Actually looks pretty good. I like that. Okay, so let's try and bind it now then. So that's bind the Super Remote. So I'm going to go into Super Remote here, and flagship, that's the one here. Yes. Next. Long press the iClick power button. Well, we did that, so it's on. Shake the remote control. Keep the screen. Oh, so you can shake it to keep the screen on, which is that screen there, very dim. All right, well, I don't need to shake it then. Well, I like shaking it. And then long press the mute button for more than 3 seconds, which is that one up there. Okay, so let's press that and see if we can get that. Oh, there it is. That was pretty quick. iClick, bind that. Scanning Super Remote, please wait or turn on Super Remote screen and hold down the mute. Yeah, it's awake. See, it's got pretty blue light and everything. No Super Remote found, but it was just there. Oh, and then it came straight away. All right, okay, fair enough. So let's explore a bit of what we got. So the Super Remote here, and we have the i3 Flagship Pro. Apparently that's what that is, yeah. So we can click on maybe manage. What does that do? 0 data obtained. Doesn't do much, it seems. Okay, settings, current version, sure. We can check the current version. Oh, there's an update, yeah. So what do we got? We can have RF transmitting distance, okay. Low, medium, high. We can edit the name, language, power saving mode, key backlight. So I'm assuming that's that pretty, oh, that's red now. Why is it red? Trackball, automatic lock, Bluetooth long connection. I don't know what any of this means. How do we actually use it? Bound, select room, edit device. Living room, room activity. Please go to AI Hub, add it to add activity. Okay, I don't know what that means. So I can't do anything with the rooms. What's the Good products recommendation. Also, this is a shop, so I can buy more stuff. All right, and then there's me. Number 5, copy original remote. Hey, I think I can take a photo or something, but how do I add a thing? So, IR remote, take photos by AI and match code. I don't know, I don't understand what that means. Search brand and model, okay. How do I do that? Nothing is happening here when I press on any of these buttons. Oh, here we go, add devices. Okay, I'll go with the tool. There's many categories, I gotta give them that. So, okay, so this might be able to do everything. Let's go with TV. Whoa. I actually have a TV right over here, so I'll try and do that. So I've got a Samsung remote here that we'll try and test it with. So I'm gonna go with Samsung. Take pictures. Ah, so here are the pictures. Okay, so let's take a front picture of the original remote control. Jeepers, why so, it's zoomed in massively. Right, match with pictures. So, that's not bad. It's not bad at all. I think it's that first one, BN59. Actually, it has a number right there. BN59090085. It looks like that one up there. No, it doesn't. Popular models. So I can't find it. Point super remote towards device. Okay, so the TV is just over there. Okay, so I'm going to point that towards the TV, and then I'm going to press power and see if it turns on. So no, I'm guessing I press no. Try again. And I know it works. If I use this remote, you can hear. Oh, it just worked. Okay, so it is sending, so you could hear it. It turned on the TV. Cool, so I'm going to go with yes. Rewind to power? I don't know what it means. What is rewind to power? So up. What is up? I don't know what up is. Not available. So it's reacting to it. Yeah, not available, so there's a reaction. I'm assuming that's these buttons. You can kind of see them line up, right? Press and hold key to see more option and then click key to swap. Okay, oh, so I can configure it here. So, no, that's not doing anything either. I'm just gonna try the remote I know work and try and move it to TV. Okay. That was on. The news on. So I know that works. Okay, let's try again. Volume here. So can I? No, there's no volume. Channel? No. Yeah, so that doesn't work. That's not correct. So I couldn't match this. I'm not gonna flog it anymore. Let's just, we got screens. I don't know what that means. So I'm just gonna save that. And then I'll have a whether to upload to Super Remote. Okay, well, let's upload that. Aha, so now the screen changed here. So maybe not, but the little screen on here changed to volume plus minus, channel plus minus, because I said that that was correct, even though it doesn't actually work. Okay, so that's how you would put a TV in there and any other device, a whole bunch of devices. So we kind of get the idea. What if I had an air conditioner? Fujitsu, and here's the very old remote. So let's see if, just for fun, Fujitsu, there we go. Match code, let's do that. Place the original remote vertically at the Super Remote head, okay? Quick press the button of the original remote that app want to learn. Okay, so I'm pointing that, and I'm gonna press the start. I'll get a video. Yeah, okay, I get that. Match code, thank you. Match 5 remotes. Okay, you need further test match data set for your device. Very good, okay. I'm just gonna have to walk over here, bear with me, because I have to be a little bit closer. Okay, that didn't work either. It didn't turn anything on, so I don't know. I can try with test code. Point Super Remote towards device, then click buttons on the app to test code. Okay. Oh, and then I can test 48 different control codes. Okay, I'm not going to do that, but there are probably ways that you can get it working if you really wanted to. All right, enough of that, I think. All right, that wasn't as simple as I would have liked it to be, but I did go back after I started recording that to try it out again, and I did manage to get both the TV and the air conditioning remote into the app, the iClick app for the device. Now the TV is still not all buttons are working, but I think that's just because either I haven't gone through enough steps or I haven't found the right remote to copy, so to speak. But the aircon works just fine. And then on the remote, you can hold down this mouse wheel, the button, the thing in the middle, the blue button, hold that down and it'll actually show you the current devices that are programmed for the remote. So now I can choose Samsung or Fujitsu, which is the Samsung TV or the Fujitsu air conditioner. And then I can switch between the two and use that device for both. So that does work. It's a little bit clunky, I must admit, but it does work. And I'm assuming it's the same if you want to use it with Bluetooth or with RF devices as well, such as like my fans, my ceiling fans, they have an RF device. Actually, I want to do that with another video with an RF blaster, but that's coming soon. I think the next thing I want to do is I want to set up this iClick mBridge, which is another great name, to get it into Tuya so that I can connect with the remote to this, which connects to Tuya, the platform, the IoT platform Tuya, which goes into Home Assistant. Now that's going to be interesting. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to go, but let's try and do that as a next step. So far, so good. All right, so before we get into the iClick, I just want to show you the charging cable. Now most devices come with a USB of some sort, micro or USB-C. This one has this magnetic thing which comes with a USB, so you click it in like that. So it's like a magnetic thing. I don't know if that's good or bad. Like for standardization, it's a bit annoying because why not use USB-C? But kind of neat, it's magnetic. Anyway, so on this box, which came with the iClick mBridge, it says step 1 is operate on the iClick app, which I have here. And that says open the iClick app, homepage, devices, add Super Remote accessories. It doesn't actually say anything about accessories in the app. Devices, add accessories, and where it must be. Maybe that's the iClick app, okay. Well, maybe it's on the barcode that's on here. Oh yeah, that was quick. Done. Okay, so that's the barcode on there. Reading instructions. To control the device's access to the MQTT broker, I think that's what it says on here. It's actually the same. Okay, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not that well versed in MQTT, but let's try and click next. Scanning Super Remote, please wake up Super Remote. Well, it's here. Click one sync the mBridge remote control to the Super Remote. Okay, so I'm going to click one sync. I have a USB-C I prepared earlier. So let's try and plug that in. And there's no buttons on this. There's nothing on this that I can... Yeah, and this is not turning on. So, where to next? Yeah, so what happened is that this mBridge was actually dead. So BestJoy very kindly sent another one, a replacement, because they realized that it wasn't working. So let's try and plug that in and then set it up. Yeah, so this comes in a brand new box. I'm going to plug this into the same USB that I've now prepared again and see what happens and see if we get, aha, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a red light up here, which there wasn't before. So fantastic. So let's grab the phone and we'll try and set it up again. So devices, add accessories, and we're gonna scan the back of this. Yeah, like that. And all right, same instructions, obviously. we do one sync here, select the room where the device is located. Sure, living room, that'll do. A device with a name already exists, please try another name. Okay, mbridge, new, sure. And set the Wi-Fi network, all right? Net config, connect your phone to 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi first. Go search, oh, there we go, I have to go search, MQTT bridge, yes, that's the device. And then I set, okay, so now I've set the password for the Wi-Fi and I'm putting it onto this device, which is powered, I think. Network configuration successfully complete. All right, so this is now on the Wi-Fi and the light's gone green. Hey, all right, so we're getting somewhere. All right, so what I've had to do is set up a different user for the mbridge on the MQTT broker, and I'll show where that is in just a minute. So now I have it set up, so now it has a username and password. And now down the bottom here on the screen, you'll see that there's a subscribe topic and a publish topic. So the subscribe topic is that number, I think it's a MAC address or something. Anyway, it's unique to this particular remote or this particular bridge, I'm not sure. And then there's up. So that's what's called a topic. And there are two topics for this, there's up and there's down. So there's that number and there's up and there's down. So up, as far as I can understand, is what's used for Home Assistant. So anything gets published on the up, and down is the RF, I think. The RF that comes out of this box, I'm assuming. Or does this do RF? I'm not entirely sure. But what I do know is that MQTT now works. So now we can do some magic with this. So let's do that in Home Assistant and press some more buttons. So we finally made it to Home Assistant. It was a bit of a journey, but now we're here. And let me first show you the MQTT part of this setup. So I'm using the Mosquito MQTT broker, which is an add-on to Home Assistant. So if you don't have it, you can click on in the add-on store and you can add the Mosquito broker. And then as part of the configuration, you can set up a user that is being used by the Mosquito broker. Now I set up a different user for the remote just to kind of keep it separate, and you can do that quite easily. And this was actually thanks to the support of BestJoy, because I couldn't figure it out. In here, logins, username, password, you can add it right into configuration if you don't want to set up a whole new user in Home Assistant. So it does say here you don't need to do this because you can use Home Assistant users too without any configuration. So that's probably the best way to do it, but because I was just testing this out, I created a login in the configuration. So I'm using the Mosquito broker. Now, that's all great. The mbridge through the remote is connected to Home Assistant, but how do I know what comes in? And there are many ways to figure out what is being passed on your MQTT queue. And one of the ways that I prefer is using this MQTT Explorer, which is a different, not a Home Assistant add-on, it's a different application, and I'll link to it in the description. But what this does is it allows me to connect to my local MQTT instance. So in this case, it's my Home Assistant here. You can see there's a whole bunch of topics being transmitted on the Home Assistant part of it. You can expand this. You can see there's some for switches, some for lights, some for sensors. So I'm doing various things with MQTT. And then there's this remote, which is, you can see, if you don't know if you recognize, but this is the number that was also in the phone application, in the iClick application. When you press the buttons on this, now that it's connected, for example, I can press this one that says 07. It's a little bit tricky to see maybe, but you can see it there on the camera, hopefully. If I press 07, you'll see that this will flash. There we go, it just flashed. You can open this, you can see, up equal 07. Right, so that's the button I pressed. Now, if I want to turn off my lights here behind me, I'll press the one that I've now named light on here. You can configure in the app, in the iClick app, you can configure the labels for the remote. So if I click light, you can see it's 04. If I click it again, then it flashes again. So that's a way of seeing what is being transmitted, because we need this. We need this information when we get to the next step. So now messages are flowing. We want to create some automations with it. That's kind of the whole point of the remote, is to create automations. So I have created a couple of very simple automations, but you can let your imagination run wild with what you could do with this particular setup. So I'm going to go into Node-RED, and I'll show you the two that I've done, which are in here in the office. I have the light here and the heater that I can turn on and off. But you could have a whole flow, obviously. You could have a whole media room set up. So when you press one button, you would have, the TV turns on, the light dims, and the curtains, whatever. All sorts of things you can enable with just press of a button. And that's the real power of this remote. On top of it also being just a universal remote. Like it works with my air conditioner and my TV, and now works with Home Assistant. So we got there in the end. But let me just show you this. So I'm going to go to my office part of it here, and down the bottom here I have this pink node, and this particular node comes from down in the network section of Node-RED. There's an MQTT in and an MQTT out. So that's, as it says here, subscribe to messages from a specific topic, or publish to that topic, message to a topic. So I'm just using the in. I'm only listening for the up. Remember, it said up, the up topic. Don't know why it's up, but so the way you do that, you drag that node on there, you give it a server. If you don't have one, you can add a new one, and you can then configure that with just clicking the little pen there. Here's my IP for Home Assistant, and it's always port 1883 unless you change it, which I don't know why you would. Security has the username and password that I set up, which is very, very secure. And then there's some more things, which this is not an MQTT tutorial, but there are things in here you can configure as well for other things for MQTT connections. But that's it. And once you've done that once, then it'll be available every time you use MQTT. So you can create just one broker, or you can have several. The action I want is subscribe to a single topic, because I just want to know about up. In this particular case, this is a very simple thing. The remote just publishes on up. And there's a quality of service, which basically means how certain do you want to be that I received the message. And that has something to do with bandwidth, and has something to do with the kind of network that you're on. 2 is pretty safe when you're on Wi-Fi, which I am. And then the output, I'll just auto detect it. So whatever comes out will be passed on. All right. And then, of course, the topic itself is the same one as in the app. So it's that number, which will be different if you have a remote, and then up, or /up. And that's it. So now I'm subscribing to it. So every time I get a press on the remote, I want to do something. So I have a switch statement. And obviously you could have many things going in here for all the different buttons, because there are all these buttons, and then you can scroll the little wheel here. Yeah, like so, and there'll be 8 more options, and then another 8 options. So you have 24 or 32 or 20, I think it's 24 different buttons, or even more, that you can configure for things. So that's a lot. That's a lot of options. I just have the 2 for now. So we saw 04. That is literally that. There's a string of 04 or 03, just as a switch statement. And then you can see here the 04 goes to my pendants. So that's the lights here. When I click on that, those lights go out. Click on it again, and you can see it just toggled here as well as I pressed it. Same with the heater. So if I press the now says heater, like so. There we go, like that. You can see that it's now turned the heater on at the same time. This goes via the internet. That's why there's a bit of lag on the heater part of it. It's a Wi-Fi switch, and then press it again, and it'll turn off. So now I have automations in the remote, and it works. It works really well. Now you might ask, how far away from that Enbridge can I go? Because I'm now in the office, the Enbridge is out just next room in the kitchen. I did a little test earlier, and I could go about 20 meters roughly. It all depends on wall types and all this sort of stuff, but decent decent distance from the bridge to be able to use the remote with the Home Assistant stuff and the TUI integration through MQTT. Yeah, so there's a whole world to explore here. Now, this was a very long video. I'm not going to apologize for that because it was tricky. It was not obvious how to set this up. And there was a lot of steps to go through and trying to figure out, and the instructions were maybe not the most clear, but I did figure it out. I asked BestJoy support a couple of times for things, and they were super helpful, very fast response, so that helped me a lot. And now I kind of get it. I think I understand how it works, and I'm going to do more things with it. So if you have ideas of what kind of automations would be nice for a remote, maybe some quirky ones. I'm thinking maybe I want to open my gate from it. Maybe, I'm not sure. But let me know in the comments. I'd love to know your ideas for creating automations with a remote for Home Assistants. Yeah, I never thought I'll have a remote control for Home Assistant, but here we are. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this was useful. It was something different. A quirky device, which I appreciate. Thank you so much, BestJoy, for offering it to me. And yeah, if you want to know more about it, there's tons of features I haven't covered because the video would be hours. But let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions down in the comments, and subscribe for many more of these videos if you like this kind of tech and home automation and networking and quirky things. Anyway, bye. So now I can use this remote, so now I can use the BestJoy Super Remote to turn off my lights. And I can turn them back on. And I can use the remote to turn on my heater. Yeah, it gets warm. And when it gets too warm, I can turn it off again. Whee! I don't actually have to point at it either. See, turn still, turn it on.